Hi guys, it's me, Miss Wilson. I jumped into my cartoon face here to get you kind of in the mood to talk about writing children's books. So let's jump right in. Okay, there are 10 parts that I'm going to talk about. The first one is brainstorming and decide on your very best idea. To think about what kind of message you want to send these kids. What's the moral of the story? And what's the setting? So is it just going to be in somebody's house? Is your story going to take place at a school or at a park or wherever? I had some kids last year write a story that took place in a flower garden. Their characters were actually flowers, and the whole story took place in a flower garden. So that was very creative. So you got to think about what the message is, the theme. You need to have like a moral of the story. You need to have the setting figured out, and you need to think about how you can make it engaging and relatable to children. That's number one when you're brainstorming. Oh, and I should have said the inspiration for how to make it relatable to kids or engaging. The inspiration can come from personal experiences, from childhood memories, or from observing the world around you. Number two, develop your characters. So remember, when you're developing your main characters of your story, they don't have to be people.
In fact, when you're developing your characters, they don't even have to be a living thing. You could make a story about a hot dog or whatever. All you have to do is make sure they have strong personalities that kids will remember. They make bold moves and stand for something, or they go after their dreams. It has to be something that's memorable to the kids.
Okay, so number three is work out your writing style. So are you going to write in first person or third person? Are you going to use repetition or rhyming? Are you going to talk in the past tense or the present tense? Usually past tense is used when you're telling a story based on true events, and present tense is used to keep kids actively engaged in the story. For example, if you wrote a story about a two-headed kid that lived in the woods and wanted to have a dream to be a dancer one day, the first obstacle would be in learning to dance. Or maybe you do a story about a country kid that came to live in the big city. There's all kinds of problems you can solve with something like that. Number 5, write the right length. So for our children's book, we're going to write about 400 words total. We'll all be working on it together, so that won't be up to just one person to do, so don't worry. Number 6, remember we're working with little kids, so you're going to have to start the story quickly. Grab their attention as fast as you can. So you're going to have either a suspenseful action or a hook in the very beginning. Make sure you're consistent throughout the story, and the story has to make sense. Also, don't forget to include a moral like we talked about in the very beginning on number 1. Number 7 is illustrations. So when we're writing, we need to have an idea of what we want our illustrations to look like. So you write for your illustrations. And then we're going to choose the style and the orientation of the book and all that, but we'll talk about that later. Number 8, end the story quickly. So like I said, we're only going to have about 400 words, and children like to have a happy ending and a solution to whatever problem we were trying to solve. So we got to think of a really happy ending, make it real upbeat to keep their attention. Number 9, editing. We'll have certain people that will be in charge of looking over the entire writing and making sure that all of our punctuation is good and all of our grammar is good. And lastly, we're going to have to come up with a good title. It has to be a catchy, something that will grab a kid's attention just from looking at the title. I want to read you one of the stories from last year. Moral of the story was true friendship, asking for help when you need it, and helping others. We had characters, and all the characters were flowers. Poppy was the main character, Sunny the sunflower, Daisy, Lily, Buttercup. A teacher's name was Rose, and the principal's name was Mary Gold. And the setting, the school was the greenhouse. I mean, we were going to make a greenhouse. The illustration was going to be a greenhouse, represented the school, a flower pot represented home, and the flower garden represented the playground. Okay, so here's the story, and it's not written completely in story form. This is more in storyboard form, which we'll do right before. It's kind of like you put everything down how you want it to go, and then you make some adjustments to make it into the actual book. But so the intro was Poppy starts a new school and doesn't speak any English at all. He tries to talk to the teacher, but she doesn't understand Spanish. Poppy was scared and sad. He was afraid he would not do well in school and that he would never make any friends. A new friend steps in. Sunny, a flower that sat by him in class, realized Poppy didn't speak English. Sunny spoke both English and Spanish and decided to try to help the new student. While the class was following the teacher's directions on how to mold Play-Doh to spell their name, Sunny went up to Poppy, who was sitting alone, and said, we have it written in Spanish here, I don't know how to say that. I noticed you don't speak any English. If you want to, I can help. If you want me to, I can help. Poppy immediately had a smile on his face. They became fast friends, and Sunny asked Poppy to sit by him at lunch that day. So problem 1 occurs in the lunchroom. Poppy couldn't tell the lunch lady what he wanted because the lunch lady only spoke English. Sunny to the rescue! Problem 2, recess. At recess, while playing soccer, Poppy skinned his knee. He was bleeding and wanted to go to the nurse, but he didn't know how to ask the teacher if he could go. Sunny to the rescue! Problem 3, getting on the bus. Poppy knew he was supposed to take the bus to get home from school, but he couldn't remember his bus number. Sunny was a car rider and had already headed to the front of the school where his mom was picking him up, so Poppy started to cry. He didn't know how to ask his bus number in English, so he was scared he would have to sleep alone at the school that night. Buttercup to the rescue! Buttercup saw Poppy crying. She was in Miss Rose's class too, so she knew he didn't speak English. She went over to Poppy and in Spanish asked him why he was crying. Poppy told Buttercup what was going on, and Buttercup quickly found the principal, Mrs. Marigold, and explained the situation. Mrs. Marigold checked her list and found Poppy's bus number just in time. Poppy's bus was pulling up at that moment. Buttercup waved adios to Poppy, and Miss Marigold introduced Poppy to the bus driver. And guess what? The bus driver spoke Spanish. And then this is the ending. Poppy's new friends went everywhere with him and interpreted what people were saying while also helping Poppy learn English. Poppy also learned that it's okay to ask for help when you need it. Poppy also learned what it meant to be a good friend, and he vowed that one day to help someone else like his flower friends had helped him. So the reason that was so special is the place that I taught where they wrote that book, it was 88% Spanish population, and there were quite a few people that didn't speak English. So that was kind of a heartfelt story that those kids wrote. And this was a group effort. The whole class put it together. We started just like we're starting with you. So hope all that helps explain about how we're going to do this. It's going to be a lot of fun if you will just jump in and enjoy it.